Back to full screen mode. Hello everyone, welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. Last episode was possibly my favorite one so far. It was so adorable. Also involved alcohol. Do 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 do. The hammering of a fist against the door feels like a nail being pounded into my head. Once, twice, 3 times, I let out a long, annoyed breath and bear it while pressing my eyelids shut, fervently hoping for whoever it is to just go away. I feel pretty damn awful. My face feels like it's cast out of lead. My arms feel heavy and I feel quite queasy. It's been like this since I woke up half an hour ago. I can't summon the energy to pick myself up out of bed. So, this is what they call a hangover. I wonder if perhaps this is the best treatment for teenagers who desperately want to try drinking, as a way to make feel like an adult. Seeing how pleasant this is, it's not something I want to repeat. A series of thumbs rings out again, reverberating around the small room. I wish they'd just give up already. I have no intention of getting out of bed for them. Seconds passed in a minute since no more knocking or coming from the door. Whoever it must have left, whoever it was must have left. Thank goodness. Looking to my clock, the time when I really should think about getting dressed and ready for class is approaching. I don't think I can manage it though. I hate cutting class, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get much done at this rate. I can tell that I look like a mess without needing to look in the mirror to confirm it too. I'm glad I never had that. The morning rush is giving me enough time to stand outside the classroom for a little while without looking too suspicious. Hope that Mudo doesn't ask any awkward questions about my not attending school yesterday. I was sick, that is true. It's just the reasons for it that I have to hide. Confident I can get by with the technical admission of certain truths, I stride into the classroom doing my best to appear normal. The instant I open the door and take a single step in, I can feel a dozen eyes looking at me. There's no way I'm imagining this, but they're not even making any attempt to hide it. I take a quick sweep around the room and I spot Hanako. Make eye contact momentarily before she looks down and stares very hard at her desk. Did she spill the beans? Widow might be okay as far as teachers go, but underage drinking on campus is not exactly something that would be taken lightly. I looked at him with some trepidation. Feeling better today? Yeah, thank you. He motions for me to take my seat. I like feeling like sticks as they carry me there. It's gonna be a long day. Soon as the lunch bell rings, I'm on my way to Hanako's desk to ask her what's going on. Hanako, did you tell? Looks at me and shakes her head. That's a big relief. It's just... Well, hello there, He-chan. It's nice to see you again today. Shizune's already have that predator look. I grabs and looks towards Zill's unmistakable voice coming from behind me. That was way too upbeat a tone of voice to feel comfortable, even for Misha. Misha's happy smile is nothing out of the unusual. Shizune's, though, is a very bad sign. This one where she's notched into my brain as her "I got you on 7 ways from Sunday" smile. Hi, Shizune, Misha. You look happy to see me. Not feeling well yesterday, He-chan? No, I wasn't. I'm feeling better now, at least. That's good to know, He-chan. Why do I feel like Shizune's letting me into a trap? Sound like you're not being completely serious. I know, He-chan. We're genuinely pleased that you're all better now. I can't keep a straight face. Okay. Today is positively overflowing with happiness. There's only one reason why she would be like this. Oh no. In fact, we were quite worried about you after all. You, Hanako, and Lily were all absent from class on the same day. Yeah, she got us so thoroughly that all I can do is sigh in defeat. I guess you have your own theories about this. Could you just kinda not tell anyone? It's a bit late for that, He-chan. I suppose she's right. Considering it looks like guys enter class, still, things only seem to be a level of vague suspicion rather than outright accusations. So we'll probably be fine. Hanako's face sinks a little further. Such attention is troublesome enough for me, let alone for her. Get by Shizune and Misha's reactions, I think they noticed this as well. The only reason why we're giving you such a hard time is that you ignored us yesterday morning. Yesterday morning? It takes a while to recollect what happened then, given the haze induced by the general awful state I was in at the time. Oh right, the knocking. That was you two? It was, and you left us there for ages, after we'd taken all that effort to come to your dormitory early in the morning. Sorry, I was having a problem with nausea? They're not buying it. I can't blame it. Shizune says drops in resignation before she reaches the door pocket. Something white and yellow can be seen sticking out of it. As she pulls it out, it turns to be an envelope with very bright decorations on it. Since she points it at me, I duly take it. This is what we were trying so hard to give you, Hichan. You don't check your... I tune out the sound of Misha's voice as my eyes register what's written on the envelope. Iwanako. That was the chick! Oh, I love how I completely forgot her name last episode, and now Iwanako. Oh yeah, that's right! I sent the envelope for a moment before suddenly remembering that there were people around me. That's a very strange, somewhat invasive feeling about their expressions. Kinda want to be alone right now. Iwanako? It's nothing. Thank you for bringing this to me, you two. I should think so. After what we went through to get it to you. I step back to say my goodbyes. Misha is theoretically pounced even as I go out the door. But Shizune and Hako remain very visibly curious about my reaction. Hope they won't interrogate me on this later. Smell of gardens is, as always, a very pleasant sensation. Some of the most visible signs of how well funded the school is. Some from its sheer size and the expanse and conditions of the ground. A good number of students can be seen eating lunch, chatting, and playing on the bright green lawns. Even some of the staffers enjoying the summer here, keeping watch over the students and idly walking along the long concrete paths. I've never seen a sight like this in my home city. On excursions, maybe, but certainly never in the school or anywhere near where I lived. Even the bench I sit on to read is warmer thanks to the summertime sun, reminding me of why I haven't worn the school blazer even once yet. Considering this, the sunflowers and splashes of vibrant yellow coloring adorning the paper are quite appropriate for this time. If only the words written on it were as well. Here I was thinking, I managed to get over her when the troublesome thing shows up. When this troublesome thing shows up. Her handwriting looks vaguely familiar at best, and only now that I see it again, I remember that she used to write in pink pen a lot. She was always very girly, for lack of a better term. But she was also quite fragile. I never knew if I liked this aspect of her or not. Though with the arrival of this letter, that question seems to become largely mute. The letter begins with not much more than an update on the state of things going on in her life. My old class had a good start to the school year. Many are anxious about the exams that will be coming up in the future, etc., etc. But it ends on a very personal, if brief, note. It feels a bit like she wrote most of the letter just to try and soften the blow from the ending. I wanted to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I'm really sorry for not being able to support you, even when it mattered the most. Even though I like you so much, at least now, I finally can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you not to give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I just said something. Hope you managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final, somehow. I wonder if we will meet again. Perhaps it's the best if we don't. Still, if you would like to correspond with me, by all means, write me back. I very much like to hear about your new school and how you are doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako. And so, that's that. Our relationship is over. Nice, neat, tidy, with no ambiguity. Haven't held on to any illusions that it could ever begin anew. The last time she visited me, neither of us said anything, except for the one word she said as she left for the last time. Goodbye. Be as it may, this feels more final. The capstone on the experiment that both of us tried and failed at. A loud shot draws my eyes away from the letter. It's just some students horsing around and one of the teachers standing nearby coming over to talk to them. Are you okay? A tentative voice comes from my side. For a moment, I assumed it was Hanako, but it was actually Yuko. Oh, hello, Yuko. I thought you'd be in the library. She gives a cheerful smile, one quite fitting the atmosphere, and flourishes the empty wrapper of the roll in her hand. She must have had someone else covering for her while she was grabbing something to eat. Reminds me that I haven't had anything to eat yet. I don't feel hungry though, and skipping one lunch won't hurt. Mind if I sit here? Sure, go ahead. I quickly slide the letter back into its envelope, slipping it inside my bag propped against the side of the bench as Yuko takes a seat. She drops the wrapper into a bin beside us. Without much else to do, I lean back and take what enjoyment I can from the sun, silently reflecting off the letter. The lush lawns, the clear blue skies, everything looks so different from the way it did back then. Even the school's surroundings, from the hill is on the woods around it, how completely opposite to the urban scenery I remember. Maybe this is what it's like to feel homesick. Then again, it's not an outright bad sensation. The feeling of the area around Yamaku, while very different, is also nice. I think I could get used to it. Hey, Hisao? Yeah? You didn't answer my question from before. I wasn't gonna say anything, but you still look troubled. If you don't want to say anything, that's okay. I don't mind at all. Sorry for asking for something strange like that. I don't mind. It's just, I got a letter from someone I knew before I came to Yamaku. Made me think about some things. Thought I managed to get over most of the problems that my accident caused, but now I'm not really so sure. Kinda wish I'd never seen it. I don't think that's good, Hisao. When my boyfriend left me, he did so very suddenly and never let me know why. At first I was very depressed about it, but I decided to forgive him. You forgive him? You forgave him? Couldn't he at least have talked properly with you about it? He was always one of those people that found it difficult to come close to others. In the end, I decided I fell in love with him for a reason. He was a good person, and I think that I had been in his position, I would have probably have found it just as hard to try and talk to him. I don't really see the connection to the letter I got. I mean that, how should I put this? It must have been very hard for that person to send that letter, and if they did, I think they might have been thought very hard about exactly what to say. Awanako managed to write this letter and bring a final close to our relationship, something that I never managed to do. Whereas here I am, trying to protect and help Hanako as best I can, especially with Lily leaving for a while, and I'm not even able to deal with my own problems. Does that make sense? She's taking my non-response and forward brow as doubt. She really reads faces too much, just like a certain other person. Yeah, that makes sense. That was just kind of a shock, really. I think I tried to fool myself into thinking that my life reset when I came to Yamaku. Now, I'm suddenly aware that it didn't. I'm a bit lost for how to feel about how to deal with these feelings. I think there's something I can't help you with. Sorry. It's fine. I think being able to talk with you helped me get things sorted out a bit better in my head. So, thank you anyway. She nods and smiles sweetly. Yuko is a nice girl, so it's a shame she's so highly strung so often. The school bell ringing out, startles us both. Ah, I was supposed to be back before the bell. Oops. She jumps off the bench and almost races off without a second word, but turns on her heel to remember she was talking to me just now. I'll see you later, Hisao. Cheer up, okay? I'll try to. Thanks, Yuko. With a quick bow, Yuko takes a leave and begins to rush to the library. Her flight catches the curious eyes of a few passing students, who are unenthusiastically trudging back to their classes after their fun. Reluctantly standing from the bench, I dust myself off and join them. Even while I walk through the gardens back to the main building, the thought of the letter in my bag doesn't stray far from my mind. Is it, Yes, it is. Yeah, I check this often. Okay, only 14 minutes. Sorry if that gets annoying. I need to listen to Passage of Time. Feeling of walking through the... Wait, what? Hold on, I wouldn't do this transition properly. Because does it really just go that abrupt? Okay, there's Katawa Shoujo. They're spinning away. And then just... City. The feeling of walking through the streets is one of the a very deep nostalgia. While Yamaku may have like the reverse of where I lived in the past, the city at night is amazingly familiar. My eyes are moving constantly from the bright electronic screens glowing high in the night sky, to the street lamps piercing the darkness with their light, to the businessmen enjoying themselves after work, and the busily talking couples on dates. If I didn't want to, I can't help soaking in every aspect of the city. I savor its familiarity like a sweet candy sticking on my tongue. Hey, Sosu. Lily is walking to my left with her cane swaying to and fro, holding onto her sister's arm for guidance while talking to her. Compared to traveling by taxi or bus, being driven by Akira in her rather nice car was a much more enjoyable experience. I love Hanako's outfit! Maybe not for the person on my right, though. While Lily was used to her sister's driving style, and I quite liked a bit of excitement, Hanako was holding very tightly to the door for most of the trip. That's how you accidentally open the car and fall out, Hanako. Don't do that. Everything looks so pretty at night. Hanako quickly looks down, yet again as she accidentally catches someone's gaze. Yeah, it does. My answer isn't very thoughtful, since I'm distracted by so many thoughts that I find it hard to keep up on small talk. What are those distractions, aside from the city lights? It's how Hanako looks. It's the first time I've seen her in something other than a school uniform or her pajamas. It gives me pause when I first saw her outfit, when we met up at the school gate. Considering how much her head is lowered when people walk near us, I imagine that the hat she wears is more than a fashion statement. But it works so well! Well, initially, I was wary of Lily's plan to take us out into the city when night fell. It became obvious she had thought about this. Not many people had paid Hanako much heed since the darkness hides her scarring well. So, we're in the city. Any ideas what to do? Akiva beams a smile. Don't take us to a bar. Something tells me that she's the one who's making this particular decision, even if her sisters may have proposed the outing in the first place. You'll see. Just follow us. I nod and try my best to strive a grimace. After what happened during Hanako's birthday party, I don't trust Akiva's judgment all that time. We keep walking, and I notice that we're passing more and more cafes, restaurants, and other eateries. Every once in a while, a drunk man in a suit comes out of a bar, usually being supported by another, but for the most part, the customers around this part of the city look young and fashionable. Different kinds of music come and go as we pass by each business. The discord created by the overlaps should be grating, but it reminds me so strongly of the times I spent in the city with my old friends that I don't mind. Hanako and I have started to drift a little apart from Lily and Akira. That comes to a stop when I hear a soft thud from beside me. So sorry. By the time she rights herself from her apologetic bow, the middle-aged businessman she bumped into walking away after mumbling a half-hearted apology. Hanako looks a little put off by the experience, as she quickly skips ahead to match my pace, just her head hanging low once more. She probably bumped into him because she was looking downwards and not where she was going. I sit to the side a little and put one hand on her far shoulder, drawing her closer. Hisao? It's okay, you can walk closer to me if you want. Hanako hesitates, but eventually nods in assent. After a couple of times, when I thought we had arrived at Akira's destination, we reached our target, but now we're below the elevated walkways and past the most garish and brightly lit places. I'm a bit surprised. The average age of those around us is distinctly older, and the smell of cigarette smoke is pretty thick. The area is far from seedy though, and it's a little amusing to see Lily's reaction to the smell of smoke. Very not happy, I very much agree. While it's masked by the low talking of those around us, jazz music can be heard emanating from inside. Looking up at the dimly lit sign, it becomes obvious why. A jazz club. I hate to admit, this isn't what I expected. Lily gives an amused snort and a smile. Somehow, I feel like I should have known it, Akira. As we talk outside, I notice more and more odd sideways glances directed our way. People awkwardly catch themselves staring and look away, but that just makes it more obvious. I had noticed this occasionally when we were walking, but it's more pronounced now. I've never experienced anything like this in my life. An average-looking Japanese teenager guy, just a little taller than normal, isn't the type to draw attention without making an effort. Hey, come on! Just because you're a teenager doesn't mean you can't have a taste, right? Right? I don't know why I said that weirdly. Well, I don't really mind the music, if that's what you mean. I don't mind it either. She only just managed to force out the words. It contrasts heavily to when we're alone in Yamaku, and it disappoints me a little that she's so highly strung for what's supposed to be a good time out of the town. It's hard to read Hanako's face as she keeps looking downwards. It's a little wonder if she doesn't often come out into the city because of this. And it makes me a little thankful that my own scarring is easily hidden. Lily has a similar way of attracting people's gazes, but for the reason for it is clearly different. She hardly looks like a native, and the same can be said for her sister. That much is far more noticeable than her blindness from a distance. She may not be able to see this for herself, but I have little doubt she can hear the odd whispering phrases from people who think they're out of earshot. Be that as it may, it doesn't seem to show any signs of annoyance or pleasure at the attention. Akira is still as confident as ever though. Flashing a smile, she strides in with Lily by her side and the two of us following behind. I had expected my eyes to need adjusting to the light inside, but it's not much brighter than outside. The music we heard is clearer now, mixed in with the sound of glasses moving on the tables and counter, and the husky chatter of the patrons. Looking at my right reveals the music's source, a jazz group playing beyond some tables. The patrons seem to be mostly men, and though there's a handful of women, nobody looks under 30, except for us, of course. It feels a little like we stepped into the 1920s, and the atmosphere is quite agreeable. I'm not completely comfortable simply because of my age, but were I older, I would probably feel quite at home. Hanako seems a bit more relaxed now, probably due to nobody looking at all. Everybody's talking between themselves, drinking, or watching the band. Akira casually takes a seat at the counter without even glancing around. She's probably come here before. Lily's rechecks okay, filling out the bar stool and the edge of the counter before taking a seat beside her sister. Ryder takes a brief break from polishing a glass to watch her, before putting it down and coming over. Good evening, ladies. Will it be? Just a scotch, thanks. Lily? May I have a glass of A black suit at elbow hits her side sharply. Orange juice, please. She was gonna get champagne! No problem. Coming right up. Bartender starts to pour their drinks. A couple of seconds before Akira suddenly remembers that Hanako and I are indeed here and turns around to us. You two want anything, or are you just gonna stand there? Hanako seems to be getting a bit restless. No matter where we are going to seat ourselves, there's going to be people right next to her. I don't think she looks convincingly older than 20, unlike Lily. Looking around, there's game sections to our right. A couple of bizarre billiards tables can be seen in the corner, and nobody's using them either. I glanced at Hanako, about to ask her if she would like to play, but she's already looking longingly in the same direction. Maybe it says something that we can get by with so few words nowadays. We'll go play pool over there. Akira leans back to see past me before shrugging and sitting back up. It seems you'll have to put up with only me for company. How unfortunate. Have fun, you two. We turn and sit ourselves for the abandoned corner, with Hanako taking the lead. The prospect of a nice, quiet game away from everyone makes her walk noticeably faster. Her eyes stay firmly fixed on her prize. The table's full size and well lit, despite the surrounding darkness. Thanks to the bright overhead lights, a huge painting of something covers the wall. That music notes? What is that? There aren't many people milling around the corner of the club. I can see Hanako becoming a little less tense as a result. You know how to play? I'm no expert, but no, I don't. I mean, yeah, I do. Then, 8-ball? Sure. Hanako gets the chalk and 2 cues from a set of hooks against one of the walls, while I fetch the balls from the table's pockets and grab the rack from a shelf underneath. She patiently waits as I get the table set up. After slotting the final ball into the rack and doing some last adjustments, I end up having to fight my perfectionist urges and getting the bottom row of balls exactly perpendicular with the edges. I hate when that perfectionist instinct kicks in. With the balls arranged and ready for play, I step back and take my cue from her outstretched arm. I carry out a quick inspection of the tip before I'm satisfied that it's in good condition. So, you played before? Once or twice. just kind of know the rules. The air between us feels a little awkward. She's still pretty nervous, understandably given that we're in public. Eventually, the silence becomes too much for even Hanako, as she begins to quietly stammer. Who'll break? Think for a moment before reaching into my pocket and drawing a coin. I'll take heads, you take tails. After a nod of agreement from Hanako, I flip the coin up in the air, catch it, and flip it over onto the back of my left hand. Looks like it's you that gets to break. Hanako nods again, before taking up her position at the ends of the table. She's not usually this quiet around me, but I'm not wholly sure if it's because of the tidbit of information about her past that slipped out moments ago. The cue comes back in a practiced gesture before smacking dead into the center of the cue ball with a thud. The white ball scatters across the smooth green expanse before smashing into the carefully arranged balls at the other end. Balls skitter across the table at high speeds. The break was good, with the balls being nicely distributed around the table. My hands are already flicking from one to another to pick out the easiest candidates to pocket. Hanako retreats from the side and I take my shot. Well done! It's only after Hanako says that I realize the ball I was shooting at was sunk. I look at her and notice a small smile on her face. It's nice how playing games seem to loosen her up a little. Guess I'm stripes then. I take a step back and by the way, I have absolutely no idea how you play billiards. I have no idea how to play 8-ball. I don't even know how you freaking shoot the damn thing. I know nothing about this. Which is hilarious because Meme used to have a pool table. And a freaking ping pong table. And a darts board. I wish I had a darts board. That would be fun. I take a step back and let her take the next shot. But she doesn't advance to the table. Rather, she looks down a little and rubs her arm. But now I can identify this as one of her gestures that means she wants to say something, but isn't sure enough of herself to do it. What's up? It's just, you had a nice smile. Do you like playing this? I sigh and lean back against the table. I like playing, yeah. I think I was smiling because it's really nostalgic though. I'm gonna go tilt her head quizzically. Me and my friends used to play pool in the game centers near where we lived pretty often. And at night too. But wouldn't your parents? My parents both worked, so they didn't mind me not being in the house. I stayed on top of my homework pretty easily as well, so there was plenty of time to do other stuff at night. Our conversation dies down with Hanako's timidly getting the better of her. In response, I get off the table and let her take her turn shooting. There aren't many solids in easy position, so Hanako bends down and takes a while to line herself up properly. Look at that face. Hanako's expression is the same as when we played chess, a relaxed but focused concentration. I actually sometimes talk about getting into a zone where nothing unnecessary enters the mind. I wonder if that's something she can do. Her posture is good, better than mine to be sure. It's very close to a textbook method of playing, whereas I tend to contort myself into whatever position I feel is most natural for the shot I'm taking. She lines up the cue. The cue comes back and she does a couple of practice movements to make sure she lined up correctly. How do you shoot the damn thing? Hanako takes games so seriously, it's the only real hobby I know she has, outside of reading. It feels good to be able to share this kind of experience with her. She takes the shot after careful consideration. Then the cue ball zooms off towards a ball sitting at a slightly awkward angle near the corner. Hanako's careful preparation pays off as the cue ball hits and sends the ball rolling towards the corner pocket. For a moment, it looks like it will stop just on the lip of the hole, but eventually tilts just enough to drop in. Man, that was a hot shot! You can't pull that off. I don't think I have much hope. I'm not that good. It's not just the shot though. Even when lining it up, you looked really serious. You like this with chess too. The phrase makes her a little flustered. She sets the cue against the table and stands, turning to me. I just like those kinds of things. Her fingers are twisted and turning tightly. When I was in the orphanage, I just kept doing things I liked before. If I played games with the others, that was enough for the helpers there, so... I never thought about it that way. Except for an orphanage would naturally want to have everyone socialize at least a little. Is it okay for me to ask? What was it like for you at the orphanage? Why do you want to know? I've touched a nerve, but the fact that she responded at all shows that there's at least a chance she'll answer my question. For she'll likely just have shrunk away from it without a word. I'll tell you, but... But? Could you tell me who Iwanako is? Iwanako? Oh, the letter. Wonder how long she's been waiting for the opportunity to ask me this. I'm surprised, but don't hesitate. Sharing information is naturally a matter of give and take. She's someone I used to like. Her nervousness subdued her, at least for the time it took to ask. Her curiosity is getting the better of her, and I feel a bit uncomfortable to be questioned on this of all matters. There's no way I could spill out all my feelings about Iwanako here. I don't even know myself what my feelings regarding her are. Even after talking to Yuko earlier, I want to avoid the subject around Hanako. Hanako doesn't look overly satisfied with the awkward ending to the discussion, but thinks better of continuing it. She was only just managing to ask me in the first place, without knowing that I wouldn't want to talk about it. I'm going to finally take my shot. The lack of talking between us is filled by the chatter of other patrons, and the band at the other end of the club. Spying a shot that doesn't look too difficult, I try and shoot for it. You know I give up on a war when I just read it without much to say. Sorry about that. The cue ball taps the ball, and the trajectory is about right, but I put in too much power. It grazes the corner of the hole and moves off to the side, just skittering the pocket. Grit my teeth a little. I was pretty good at this game, and it's frustrating to have deteriorated so much. I sit back and let Hanako take her turn. Glancing towards the counter where Lily and Akira are sitting, they're talking busily between themselves and seem to be having a good time. I turn back to Hanako as she takes her shot. With the same face as before, she lines herself up and sharply pushes the cue. I realize she hasn't told us about the orphanage. Oh well. Just as before, she sinks the ball she was aiming for. It drops into the side pocket more cleanly than her last, though it looks as if she's getting a little bit more into the groove of the game. Nicely done! She hesitates for a moment and begins to address me without turning her head. The orphanage was nice. It felt a bit like Yamaku does. The staff was really kind. But as the years went on, I realized something. I was different. It feels strange to hear her speak so candidly about herself. She audibly forcing the words out. It reminds me of when she insisted she tell me about the fire. Hanako must feel that she has to tell me of such things if I'm willing to tell her about my own past. Her grip on her cue tightens as she continues to speak. Most of the children there were up for adoptions, just like I was, but unlike me, they gradually left, one by one. By the time I went to Yamaku, I was among the oldest children there. For a while I helped with some of the younger children, but eventually... I laid my hand on her shoulder. She's forcing herself by now. It's okay. She looks mildly surprised for a moment, but then nods before setting down her cue and turning towards me. Do you really think so? Yeah, I think so. Even while Lily's away, I'll be around to protect you, right? Hanako looks at me for a long time, and I'm taken a bit off guard. Her expression hasn't changed from before, still looking somewhat maudlin. But silences between us aren't unusual. I think it's the fact that she's holding such prolonged eye contact that makes this feel a bit odd. It feels as if she's judging me. It's a very strange, vaguely uncomfortable feeling. Hanako? I understand. Thank you. She smiles and looks away a little, but it feels stilted. Hanako isn't very good at faking emotions, and this is no exception. I move to the table and take my shot to try and distract myself, but it doesn't seem to work. Does she think I'm not for the task of helping her? Is she disappointed in me? Am I having a midlife crisis? I'm probably overthinking this. While her silences are just an accepted fact of life by now, sometimes I do wish she'd speak more. The third, I send the white sphere careening down the table into my target. Tiger sees what's happening just as I do. Ball hits hard with a strike ball I intended to sink veering off towards the 8-ball. Sure enough, as both Hanako and I look on and bite our lips, they connected and the ball rolls leisurely into the corner pocket. All I can do is sigh. It looks like Hanako's smiling again though, so maybe it wasn't for naught. That was an awful shot. You win. It seems I'm getting pretty rusty after all this time. Hanako bends down and begins to shoot the remaining balls into the closest pockets. I was asking if we could play another game, but a quick check of my watch confirms that the night's getting pretty late. How long does this game take? Lily and Akira appear to be still drinking at the counter. Seems like we'll have to drag them away. Hisao? I turn back to Hanako, who's still looking over the pool table shooting balls. Her voice sounds different from before. I'm here for you as well. Ah. I suddenly found myself blushing. It's only natural that she'd respond this way, given what I said earlier, but still a shock to actually hear it. Just, what is my relationship with this girl? I want to protect her, to make her happy, but I'm not really sure that it's something like love. But I don't think these are the same kinds of feelings I have for Lily either. I feel so sorry for her, having gone through so much in her life. Her parents died in a house fire and she lived... To be fair, I'm pretty sure that's what happened, but that's not confirmed yet. And she lived in an orphanage for much of her childhood. Can't even imagine that kind of fire. But I feel like there's so little that I can do for her, especially now that Lily is going to be leaving the country. Akira does not like being dragged away, it seems. That's like her default face. Hanako and I finish setting up the table and cues, and pick up Lily and Akira on our way out of the club. This is gonna be a long video. I might have to split this into two. It feels like something changed between Hanako and me. I can't quite place what it is. Well, Hanako's acting differently now. I feel like we're further apart, if anything. So, you enjoyed yourself? Hanako and I both nod and agree. The game was good, and we both did learn more about each other. So that's an honest answer. They appears to be a little distracted. Worried about the trip, Lily? She pauses before sighing and smiling weakly. A little. It means quite a bit. The comments earn her a clap on the shoulder from her sister. Hanako smiles back too. You'll be okay, Lily. I hope you can enjoy your time over there. Thank you, Hanako. I'll try to. It will be nice to be back with my family after all. No matter how brief a time it may be. With that, the four of us begin to walk to the car park where Akira's car is. We continue to talk between ourselves, but it's mostly just small talk. And that's all for this time, because I know for a fact I've hit. Bum bum bum, 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 bum bum bum. Beginning of the end! Okay. I have no idea what we're dealing with, but we're saving. I'm actually curious what the save looks like. Just black screen. Okay, that's all for this time. This is Resunk the Drug Gamer. I hope you enjoyed the series so far, and hope to see all you guys again next time. See you guys then.